What is going on, everyone? Astrologer Eric Rosen. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to Viking Rising Astrology. This is your full moon horoscope for the full moon that's in Taurus. I thought I would show you the chart for this full moon because it's a big one. It's the last full moon that we're going to have with motherfucking Pluto and Capricorn, the crusher that has been for the last 16 years, am I right? Unless you lived under a rock, then maybe you're okay. It is Scorpio season. I mean, it does rule bugs and insects that crawl under the ground and under the rocks. But while it is Scorpio season, this is a huge focus on a lot of earth energy coming up. Before I even get into the nitty gritty of this, because there is so much, I do want to say that this is prime time to get your ducks in a row, to get planted very, very strategically in your reality of the construction of where you want things to go. If you're someone that's just like lost or not feeling well or not sure where to go, you're not thinking about your future, you don't understand how you're evolving as a soul and creating good things in your life, that it's also going to take care of you, even just from a financial standpoint, the people that you're around. I'd highly recommend you do some digging. And if you need some support, get some support. You know, for some people, it might just be the survival basis of things, just trying to reprogram their subconscious and doing healing work and therapy work. And that's part of it, absolutely. But there's also a going forward piece here too that I think is important. But to identify the parts of where do we sometimes still hold on to the past and need to look at that more as what's fucking us from moving into our future. And so it's like knowing where you're at all times, 24/7, knowing where your focus is going. So if you want to get more private one-on-one help with that, book an astrology reading with yours truly. But we're going to keep today more focused on the collective. I might give a little buzzword for each sign at the end, pull some cards just to help with how this full moon's going to land, because it is a doozy. And I chose the thumbnail that you saw for the YouTube video, that AI photo, because this is a full moon that is on, yes, Uranus, but guess what? Uranus has been chilling out with the demon star Algol. And so you got that little demon guy there. And, I picked it because that tram that's going by, that's kind of like a very faded community. Let's all go in the direction that we're meant to go in for our future. Let's all get on the same track of where we're going. Doesn't mean same belief system, right? The people on that train don't all see eye to eye per se, or think the same, or walk the same, or talk the same, right? That would be very, much like the negative algal side of Uranus in Taurus, right? Where it's like everyone's just identifying with the same group values that actually are fucking creepy and dark. It would be like no one wants to drink anymore because alcohol rules alcohol. It's the demon star. And then just because one person wants to do it and they're like the leader of the pack and the role model, or they got the most charisma, and you go follow them anyway. It's like maybe look a little bit deeper on this full moon to the people that are displaying anything in your life, especially publicly, because this full moon in Taurus here on Uranus and Algol is making aspects to that Pluto and Capricorn at the very end. So it's public. It's very much the people that you see just out in the world doing their thing, doing their hustle. Maybe even they're trying to sell you something, but Pluto's that deceiver. It's that reveal of who's actually being authentic, who's actually like embodying their values of the things that they're expressing. Taurus is the throat chakra. And I don't want to trip anyone out with the scariness, like, oh my God, it's a demon star algol. It's like we've been dealing with this for months already with Uranus there. And it's not the first time we've seen, a new moon or full moon energy. I don't remember exactly off my hand, but with algol. Like we've dealt with this before. But this is a purge. Like this is a purge. This reminds me, I'm just going to say it. This reminds me of like the DNC like hanging out like at a freaking after the party's ended and they just like don't know where to go and they're just like kind of hanging out and the keg's empty, so to speak. And so what I'm saying is that there are lingering energies that are dark, that are not going to your Uranus future. They're not for your highest good. They're not Taurus quality. And it's like, don't get pulled down by them, right? Thank God Uranus is retrograde because I would be more worried if it was direct because it's like it's ascension, right? You don't need to get like bogged down by the things that you can't let go of in Taurus because you think it has value or it has shine, but it doesn't, right? Especially in Scorpio season with this full moon where it's like we need to be searching deep and being honest with ourselves with Scorpio about our truth and seeing like very clearly like you can see your future, it's on the horizon, but are you allowing yourself to really feel it? Are you able to get intimate with your future? This is about, you know, especially like the fact that Uranus and Taurus brings up so much about trying to get on the same page in relationships, and then with the South Node in Libra, Venus ruled, and then Venus being in Capricorn, which is squaring during this full moon, the nodes, like you have to be an individual that knows where the fuck you're going. You have to know what it is that you're conquering, what you're building, what you're trying to achieve, and it's about masculine action. It's not about a relationship first. It's not about trying to keep things hunky dory and chasing a relationship, South Node Libra, Scorpio season, right? So it's do the values even align with the direction that you're going? Like this is a real put up or shut up time for anyone that says that they have goals, anyone that says that they're spiritual, anyone that you could say even has a pulse still in terms of like their vitality. Scorpio season, like you have drive, there's things that you want to go do. So if you're putting some pseudo fake ass peace and comfort of either chasing a relationship or especially an old relationship, please get out of that. You know, like Uranus and Neptune are making good aspects here. So we're able to get freed out of this like emotional, jail cell that maybe we felt like we've been in for the past 16 years on like some levels where it's just like, gosh, there's good stuff, but there's layers, there's components, there's parts where we feel bogged down and restricted, where it doesn't matter how much subconscious hypnosis work that you do or Florence Cannon or working with Jesus or praying to God or whatever it is, on some level, this moon reminds us that there's still a consistent ascension journey that we're all growing on. And with it being on Algol, it means that we have to face our shadows, making that aspect of Neptune. So this is not about mediocrity at all. This is about being your own hero by facing your own shadows of your own subconscious undoing, self-undoing, self-sabotage. I would pay attention to the things that always seem to come up over and over and over again, the patterns. That's God's compassion to being like, here's your pattern again, here's your pattern, here's your pattern. And it can be really easy to just, I'll just put it off till tomorrow. I'll just put it off till the future. I'll just put it off till tomorrow. I'll stay in the comfort, la la land while things still feel good. And then, fucking North Node hits Neptune right before the spring in March when it shifts into Pisces, and then it's like it's a spiritual awakening, but it's not the type that people normally talk about. It's just the one that's more quiet and connected with you and God. And that if you're being that holy vessel, channeling that divine energy, then maybe you get a cool spot for like media or something, where you get to express that true, authentic side of yourselves. But it's also going to be, it's meant to be an exposure, too, of like what's not working in reality is like what's coming. And so like we're already seeing the nuts and bolts and just the gears, everything just like falling apart on this. What I'm sure everyone thought with Pluto going into Capricorn in 2008 was such a well-oiled machine that the government was just going to take everyone down on so many different levels, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It's not working. Now Neptune is, excuse me, Saturn. Let's talk about Saturn because Saturn we haven't even spoke about. Guess what? It goes direct right before this, and I didn't even mention because I got so excited. Like, when is this full moon? Right? Well, it's on Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. Okay, back to your originally scheduled program. The day before, Saturn goes direct. What's the significance of that? It spent 4 months in its retrograde, brought up a lot of karma, opportunities to sit with God and listen more and reflect. And, maybe that was hard to do or painful to do, but it's about inquiring spiritually within ourselves to see where we can be better spiritually, to be more humble, to be in integrity because of the boundless nature of Pisces. It's like Saturn wants to focus on what's the past that you're closing out in a lot of ways because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn and Pluto's at the end here. And with this full moon making aspects to that, it's like, well, we are closing out the past of the last 16 years. And so don't get hung up on anything that didn't work in terms of failures. This even brings up perceived failures big time because there is a light challenge point between Saturn and Jupiter in Gemini, which is retrograde. So it's not about freaking out about the facts and details and circumstances of your life of like wishing that you could have like done some different moves. Like this aspect is showing it's just the past really is an illusion. Like it's just like the memories now. It's almost like very Matrix 4. Like, did the first three Matrixes happen and trying to like deal with that cognitive dissonance? Like, did that happen or not? And, you know, this deals with our moral failings though too, right? Of not sweeping our shadow and patterns under the rug and like looking at those things. And I think that's the hardest part with all this with North Node and Aries, Chiron, it's like we have to face the sting of where there's just wounds that we can't change. It's very much like Frodo in Lord of the Rings getting stabbed by the ring wraiths or whatever the fuck they were, but that wound never healed for him, and he had to like sail to the other side with the elves. And so that's what's coming. Like with North Node and Neptune, is like we go to another dimension, another side. Like this is basically heaven, but they were showcasing it as like another dimension, like heaven on earth in that movie. It wasn't like they were dying, like that they didn't really put that in there, at least not what I picked up on. So it's like no one needs to freak out. This is not, Book of Revelation stuff that's coming. I'm getting kind of maybe getting a little off track, but the fact that when Pluto shifts into Aquarius before the next full moon, it's like we're moving towards a future that's meant to be highly spiritual and highly communal. But at the same time, we have to know take stock on ourselves of our worth, our value, and who we are, and to update and upgrade our mindset of how we show up in the world in every which way, including our thoughts, our beliefs, how we speak, how we associate with others. Like this is a massive update. Um, and it's one where the deception, I think, is that we still have to practice a deep sense of mastery, to not take it for granted that the world is just going to be better or that we're going to find the right groups of people without changing anything about our frequency or ourselves. Because with it being a full moon on Algol, it's like, remember, there's demons present, that try to like fuck with your future. So, I also think the Saturn challenge with Jupiter is how to drop the judgment of things. how to get out of, and even the South Node in Libra too with with that T square to Venus. It's just, those challenge aspects. It's like I don't think we need to be on our high horse with our opinions and being so fixed and so critical of ourselves, of others, like especially of others. Like if we're wanting to like project this intense, Aries Scorpio energy and even thinking that we're coming from a good space with it being a full moon on Algol and Taurus and Uranus, that can we pay attention to our central nervous system to be the truth teller of like what we're actually feeling deep, like how bad are we reacting to situations? Are we dumping on people? Are we getting too serious? Are we taking shit personal? This is not about drama, although most people will fall into that right now. At the timing of this full moon, there is still a faded aspect between that Mars in shadow and Leo and Venus, but it's waning. It's the pressure is like coming off of like, is God trying to make a union between our masculine and feminine, but it seems like it can't happen. And also same with men and women, right? This deals very much with the difficulty. You can have a feeling like you're either like going full throttle in life right now, or you're trying to relax and rest and get some feminine recuperation. And so the funny thing is with this astrology is it very much happens the moment you just detach and surrender, which is always the case. But I didn't even notice, but there is a little bit of a light, what's called a kite energy too in this astrology. Kind of like looks like a kite if you look at these blue lines. And that's dealing with this sun in Scorpio, Pluto at the end of Capricorn, Neptune in Pisces, and then Mars at the bottom of that kite in Leo. So kite, so there's different, renditions, if you will, is a good word because it's Mars and Leo. It's like a rendition, like on the show, like that astrologers have about like what a kite is. But if you think about what a kite is, it's like you fly it, right? You fly the kite, right? And you see how it flies, but you just don't really know which way's the wind going to take it. And because there's an experimentation aspect always to Uranus of that up leveling, innovating, kind of like this advancing things in life and humanity and society forward, because that's a huge piece of this. I mean, the fact that there's a full moon on Uranus in Taurus right before Pluto comes into Aquarius for 20 years. I mean, can't make this shit up. God can't make this shit up. This is real as fuck. This is hashtag astrology. This is why we do this and look at this stuff. So moving forward, it's like we've got to explore uncharted territory as a race, as a species, as a society. We're going to have to start to find ways to sell our differences. And so, where does that start? Well, what's at the base of the kite? It's Mars and Leo. First things first, who's flying the kite, right? This is the energy of how you're receiving things and how we're receiving things as a collective at an individual level with Mars. Is it your wounded inner child that's got CPTSD or something that the Mars retrograde of Leo is going to bring up of having to like excavate? Or do we sometimes show up like a fuckhead a little bit and we get too dramatic and we're actually coming from some like early childhood wound programming stuff, especially North Node Chiron and Aries, and the fact that they're starting, well, they're basically in a trine right now. Like there is an aspect that's coming here with Mars making good aspects to those nodes. So it's like this is like one of the most important pieces I think of this full moon is that on an individual level, are you showing up in drama, or are you taking the reins? Are you taking the bull by the horns of where you're leading your life and committing to an individual path of what matters to you, what brings you joy, happiness, creation, creativity. This is a highly creative creation type full moon, but also not to burn ourselves out to like burn out all the energy too frivolously and to actually like put it into a place that's going to make sense for the future. But because that Mars is also making aspect over to that South Node in Libra, this can be where, like I just, it's anonymous, so I'll just say it, but it's like I was talking to someone and they're like wanting to know about this relationship and it wasn't even a relationship they're even in anymore. And it was like, it was a very Scorpio season thing, and that aspect of Mars to the South Node of like, their inner child, still wants a bond with someone and they don't feel comfortable standing on their own. So that's a lot of what this full moon and that's why I've been warning people. It's like it doesn't matter if your candidate won or didn't win, you still have an individual responsibility for your life because you've got to be autonomous of where you're going. There's a huge, you might think you're on the train of going on like the Trump train, like like whoop whoop Trump train, like that's where you're going here in America. Like if you're here, I know some people are not, but Pluto's on my sun in Capricorn and it deals very much with the region you live in. So it's like very much my, you know, expression of how I see life goes through the lens of living in the US. But it's like you might be on that train of going with that or whoever is leading because, you know, Mars and Pluto are going to be in a tug of war with each other for a long fucking time too. So like it's the individual and also your desires. It's a lot of your desires of what you want, what the world needs, but are you going to get your needs even fucking met if you're around the wrong people? So it's like upgrade your frequency, do the self-reflection, get clear on where you're going because being on that same train as other people, it's going to feel a little musical chairs like. I mean, just look at the fact of how Trump and RFK are planning on crowdsourcing the 4,000 positions for the White House to basically like have people nominate people for office, which is actually really fucking cool if they do it, which I don't know why they wouldn't, but you know, and if I find the link, which I want to, please nominate me as the next White House astrologer. I think maybe Eisenhower had one or something. I don't know. And maybe secretly they always do have one, but they're not white hat astrologers, right? They work for the dark or something. But I'd love to, if nothing else, it's a story to tell. I'll be Donald Trump's astrologer, or at least RFK is for, you know, how to help with that South Node in Virgo thing around health that's coming for the next year and a half. But we've got to clean it up. We got to clean up the gears, right? Like we've been oiling this machine for the last 16 years of how it was kind of easy to like bounce around society publicly a little bit and show up where you show up. This is your job. These are the people that you're around. It's almost like a taking it for granted and then maybe not even feeling satisfied because you're in some restrictive situation. We've just been greasing the gears to keep it going. This is a spiritual cleansing, re-greasing of the gears with our heart chakra, basically, is another way to put it at the bottom of this kite, because I haven't forgot. We're going to cover the rest of it. So, how that comes about is you've got to overcome your drama, and that looks like, yeah, got to look at the past of where you're operating from. This very much, I hate to say it, but it really does bring up like, if you know anything about IFS, internal family systems therapy, it's not a bad model to do. If I, maybe work with a facilitator, I do those sessions. It's like I do them for myself. I receive them for myself from other facilitators. I facilitate them for others, for my clients. Because if you can't get clear on like which part of you is like leading, then kind of fucked because it's that musical chairs element of that train moving forward where you just don't know where your seat's going to end up and it's kind of random and it's only going to be a good surprise because it is Uranus full moon if your frequency's up, if you're getting pulled down by your algal demons, you might not get a seat. You might have to stand. You might get stuck on the fucking shitter, like with the line backed up of other people needing you to shit so they can shit. That's not a fun way to go into this next few months leading up to March. It's not. It's not pleasant. It's not a pretty picture, you know. I don't know why it reminds me of like Genie and Aladdin, like trying to bring people back from the dead, like just people can't get over their grief and want to bring back their dead, an old way of living or something. And it's like, gotta let that go. Even subconsciously, if you're still kind of doing it. And the way to know if you're not doing it is you feel like you're firing on all cylinders. Like you're clear when you're resting, you're clear when you're creating, you're clear when you're doing business, basically. Remember, a few more days left of Pluto and Capricorn. Every fucking minute counts. It might just seem like another week at first, or maybe you want to see what Pluto and Aquarius is like, but it's like, do you? Because at least there's stability with this full moon, and the stability comes from embracing the uncertainty of accepting that there's uncertainty more so coming. And so, can we at least position ourselves like well with who we are, what we're creating? So, who's flying that kite? This construction at the top of the kite with, I meant to point more, I apologize, but Sun in Scorpio, Pluto at the top of the kite, Capricorn, Neptune at the end of Pisces, that North Node approaching it, but still in different signs. You got to let spirit elevate things, right? Neptune's an outer planet, Pluto's an outer planet. There's a spiritual thirst, hunger, Sun in Scorpio. So you can't control the trajectory of things. There's just a deep transcendental spiritual aspect to it. So start with you. Start with you. Start with knowing who you are and what brings you passion, and then pour your creation energy into that. It just sucks because I feel like it's probably, at least 70% of the people here in America that just don't do shit when it comes to like their evolution. I hate to, not trying to be negative, but this is meant to be encouraging for people to like create your best stuff. For the people that are rock star, light workers, like it's like you still gotta watch your six, right? Like watch out for people trying to ride your coattails and, because it's very like algal Taurus. But it's like overcoming your own inner conflict and adversity too by connect with your spirit guides or higher self, ground, root often, you know. Don't take these moments for granted. If your frequency is feeling off, don't try to control it or shame it for sure. With Neptune and Uranus make good aspects, but it's like bring God into it, bring Creator into the mix. Use your power, use your throat chakra. Sun power in Scorpio, that throat chakra Taurus, like get emotional and intense and demanding. Even though this full moon is happening on the afternoon of the 15th, we're going to see the buildup of that starting in the early morning hours of Thursday. So if you're watching this, just know we're already in it. And then this isn't going to really, we're not going to really know what we're going to have to switch up and change like mentally to update our thoughts when that moon goes into Gemini until the weekend, Saturday, when we basically wake up in the morning, or if you're an early riser, you stay up late. But there's opportunities. I've been saying that there are opportunities, even though there's a bit of a square between Saturn and Jupiter, or that asks to restrict on what is the most beneficial for your long term positive doors that you're actually creating. That's the funny thing about it is that you are co-creating it with your belief systems, your thoughts, your frequency. You know, you see a lot of people lately throwing around the term echo chamber. So we do got to like watch for that. That's part of like, you know, show up confident in the expression of what you've calibrated your frequency to, and there won't be an echo chamber. At least you won't stay in it long because you'll do the math in your head real quick subconsciously and get out of it. But it's like, so in your worst moments when things are feeling heavy and you feel like you're carrying something in life and you're not even sure if you value it with this full moon, consider that maybe it's just a frequency that's like weighing you down, trying to hijack you, that demon trying to get on the train, or even just a fucking agent, just a flat out fucking, you know, the Matrix 4, the agents didn't always dress in suits. They kind of blended in. So is that, you know, that could be anyone too. It doesn't even matter if they're the same beliefs, the same political affiliations. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Oh, and also too, you know, like getting the gunk out of our system too, because there is like a very like earth-based energy to this full moon where it's like take care of the body, like what's going to help you ascend and feel better and just have a better regenerative frequency, right? This is about a regeneration of yourself. I would say that it's going to be even more so connecting with spirit than it actually is food or a specific activity. It's going to be a lot about when you start to feel off, like not like you're feeling your best, and that's like when the caution flags out, the yellow flags are coming out, like slow down, peer in under the hood. If something's smoking, don't assume that it's just like, you know, vapor or something from water. It's like it's a rainy day here, foggy. There's some, you know, fog mist type shit going on with the condensation here in St. Louis. And so it's like, just because there can be fog everywhere with Neptune at the end of Pisces making aspects to Uranus, where like we're kind of used to maybe not sensing fully and using all the senses of Taurus, which of course has been bringing up very much the higher senses too, with it being Uranus, not just the five senses, especially activated by Neptune, that we need to sense when something is off and to not get like stuck in the over complicating subconscious processing of it. It's more so to self inquire and ask spiritually, what is it that the world is asking of me? What is God asking of me? What can I do? What's the next move? And you could argue in some ways that you already should know what that is, but I'd say if you're unsure, it's probably dealing with, you know, these more innocent, youthful, inner child aspects of that Mars at the bottom of that kite, because there is an innocent aspect to that, but it's also how do we, you know, overcome tragedy, adversity that we might create for ourselves by not doing the healing work, by unconsciously letting the inner child lead or being just too ambivalent about where we're going. And so it's innocent because I think for a lot of people, this might be unconscious because we're almost being asked with this all this energy to be a detective of where our energy is going in that way so that we can make a conscious choice to release it and to move away from that old past programming shit to let the spiritual upgrades and want to come in and show us what we're really capable of as human beings, as a human race. There's a Lenny Kravitz song. I forget what the name of that song is, though. He's like singing about how, you know, we all need to unite and come together. And yeah, if you know the name of the song, throw it down at the bottom. Let's see what we got card wise, and I'll give a word for each zodiac sign. Trying to get an astrology reading, like that link down below. Full moon energy. Really? here we go again. We got the retrograde card came up again. I didn't even mention Mercury, like, because it's not really. It's going to start making aspects over to Chiron, but it's not there fully. It's not in a full opposition with Jupiter on this full moon, so it's coming, but it's like there is a review that's coming with Mercury because it is in its pre-shadow period. We're going to be reviewing a lot, but we're not going to know how to really focus on that stuff. It's like too much to digest right now. But Pluto also brings us up too at the end of Capricorn. Like we've got to review just the stuff that we still get hung up on, right? So I would use this review energy, this retrograde type energy of when things feel off, slow down and see where it's coming from. The past is it's not over, you know, in order to have the vision to know where our future is going, we've got to clear the subconscious of whatever it is that we're still getting hung up on. And is that a relationship? The Libra card of balance. So you got to look at those, stay balanced, stay poised. This is very much not about going to one extreme or the other. There's even a balancing energy of full moon energies. And because Scorpio season can be so extreme, we want to make sure that we're not going extreme and then also rebelling emotionally in a way that's not even like grounded into our value system emotionally, and that actually that's us coming from our own darkness with this full moon. This Pisces sensitivity card came up again, and I shuffled. But it's like it was reversed, so it's like that unconscious piece. I'm gonna pull a card from the shamanic deck because I feel like there's still a lot of shamanic energy, and then we'll talk zodiac signs. It's gonna be brief though, just like in Buzzword, kind of like that old Pee Wee Herman show, like when they would say the word and everyone would get all excited. Like, bah! Sounded like a sheep. How interesting we were just talking about the rebellious nature of it too, because like that's what you're going to see too is like who's still, I'll just say it, being a sheeple to like some indoctrinated Neptune belief system because that's just what feels good, or to the old program. It's like reminds me people still loyal to it. People that like almost like are afraid of change or afraid of excitement. I even feel that in myself. I'll be completely honest. I'm a North Node Taurus rising, the 25 degrees. Uranus, algal, this full moon's right on top of my North Node. I'll be purging, to become a more beautiful Taurus, high vibrational light worker, because that's what Taurus is, right? It's about being a higher physical, loving vibration that you embody in the physical and that you express outwardly with your confidence, your charisma. It's comes out in projects. It's just natural. Those relationships that are quality want to be around you. But then the other side is going, where do we maybe self undo that self sabotage energy and hold ourselves back? Because maybe it's almost like, oh my God, it's too much. It's too much juice to hold. I'm so excited. And it's like, no, like get excited and bring that intensity of let the electricity start to surge through you of love and see what you can handle, what spirit can throw at you in terms of how you're feeling. So burn out those demons. You don't have to have a fucking shaman necessarily come in or drop 10 grams of mushrooms on it or something, or get your chakras cleansed, right? You can just use your own vibration and tune your own frequency and just let that stuff out. I'm showing it's being simple, like as simple as like pouring out water. Like this water doesn't smell good. I'm throwing it out. That's your emotions. That's, even like the water pitcher, dumping it out, like very Uranus, Aquarius, like the water bearer. So you want to serve that stuff out to other people. So clean up your vibe and watch better people come into your life. This is a lot of astrology is about just being happier and not even trying to push too hard to get to some place that's impossible to get to because there's so much change coming anyway that this is about just expanding yourself and being kind of like a Stretch Armstrong as a human being, but it's a subconscious spiritual expansion of you. And so that's going to very much look like not staying in some podunk comfort zone. And it's a lot about just how you show up in your energy. So just following up with those cards, like I said, you don't have to be your own shaman, the mystical shaman card. But when it's reversed too, it's like where people start believing too much in the material world and not enough about the shamanic realms of things that, you know, we're spiritual expression of however we're existing, wherever we're at in the world, whatever we're going through, highs, lows, the middle grounds that we maybe try to create right now with this astrology. So don't get hung up in the material because this is a money type of full moon too, because Scorpio, Taurus deal with money, but it's not going to be anymore, especially right now, about the physicality of the assets or lack thereof, you know, especially put at the end of Capricorn. See a lot of people in different ranges. Some people are doing well, some people, you know, they're manifesting their dreams, some people are figuring it out and things are getting better. Some people are just like, holy fuck, how am I just even going to survive and get through this? And it really, I hate to say it, but it comes down to your frequency. And I would look most of this full moon if you're having money problems of like, is your spiritual skill set up to snuff? To do you know what your value is to serve and help people? And do you do it with like a fun smile with that's just going to attract better fortune, positivity? Is your spiritual values like updated and do you can you see them? And if not, if those things like feel off and things are feeling gunky, I talked about cleaning up the gunk. It's like, you know, this is where it gets highlighted for what that is. So buzzword wise for this full moon for each sign, Aries, I'm going to say for you that this is very much money honey. I'm going to give you two words. Maybe some people get more than one or two. Money honey, right? It's a money full moon, but you got to find some of that sweetness if you want the best wealth. Taurus, identification reload. This is a moment in time where you're Neo that's learned to fly. You know how to fly, but it's the second Matrix movie, like the Matrix Reloaded, where what's that next scene and creation of your life look? Who are the people that you're helping now that you know a lot about yourself and what you're capable of? Gemini, this Gemini, the word is God, but with the letters LY in parentheses, somewhere between God and godly. Like you might have a connection to God, but do you know how to like put your finger on it? What's godly and what's not? Do you know how to consciously choose, even though you might see everything as positive and benefic in your what you can see right now? Do you have that discernment? It's an important one. When it comes to Cancer, just the word is just flat out just people. People pleasing takes you down. Not paying attention to the people you're around could mean that you're being controlled. So assess your frequency because those are the people that you're connecting with. Leo, this is career. The word is career. Honestly, that's all I need to say, Leo, because you know what your ambitions are, where you're going. Just remember, this is about building towards the top. It really, really is. Virgo beliefs. Gotta believe. I don't want to overcomplicate it for you, Virgo, because I know you like to think, but you just have to believe. You have to believe in a better future, no matter what the circumstances are. Libra. Hey, not just kidding, Libra. Um, Sexy time. You need to know how to bridge this evolutionary energy that's trying to take you to a better future into those lower chakras to move the blocks out of your way. They're not going to move themselves. You've got to do it from within. Scorpio, relationship, and with the word, the letter S in parentheses. So relationship, relationships. This is about prioritization. Who are you giving the most attention to the people in your life? You can't just be a squirrel that gets all distracted and gives your attention like left, right, up, down, sideways. And then you call that being a Scorpio of like experiencing edge of passion. You're not, you're just in your head. So who's actually aligned to passionately connect with? Sagittarius, health in capital letters. It's very much health that's based upon, you could say, your spiritual beliefs of reality. The thing is like having enough in the tank to get everything done means that you have to know how to connect with people and delegate too. So your health is fall shaky in any way, or just your energy, just get help from people. The right quality ones will be there. Capricorn, love. You know, that's like Capricorn's favorite thing, right? You know, business is at the bottom of the list, and you know, money's at the bottom, achievements at the bottom. No. Funny thing is it actually is at the bottom of the list, Capricorn. That's the funny fucking thing. It's actually more about love. Kind of like that song from Night of the Roxbury. It's like, baby, don't hurt me no more. What is love? You know, just watch out for self-blame, self-hatred, Capricorn. Like this, the gauntlet of the 16 years. It's like, don't worry about the finger pointing. Just let your emotions for a change be the gamble to just show you what love is, that it's not some preconceived thing that you can try to figure out on a fucking chalkboard, on a whiteboard. We'll see if my theory is true. I always give Capricorn extra because they've had Pluto on their sign, but I'm also a Capricorn, so I might just be full of shit. But Aquarius, winding down here, you are dealing with the words, I'll just say it basics, home slash family. Maybe family, especially because holidays are coming up, but depending on if you celebrate them, but it's also home if you feel disconnected from the family, because that's the interesting thing is you can be in a position where you feel completely connected or disconnected from people in the home or your family. So I would just go deep into your personal world if you're wanting a better, more quality, satisfied home life, and be sensual with yourself. Maybe do some self-touch, Aquarius, like especially if you feel like you're around people, but you're not feeling connected or something because you're maybe because you know Pluto's coming for your ass like for the next 2 decades. I have a feeling I'm going to see a lot of Aquariuses in my office. I don't know for sure, but I kid, I joke. I love you, Aquarius. It's going to be okay. No, it is. You're built for taking a lot. Pisces, your words, Pisces. It's mental health. Make sure you're just telling people how you feel. Like speak up. Like don't stay silent. Like your best bet to just make sure that you're getting the best seat on that, kind of like fated train that the collective is moving on as we go to a higher timeline. Your best seat is going to be listening, hearing people, being present, but also expressing how you're doing and not just fake positivity either. That's a no-no. Just be honest, be grounded about what you're feeling. All right, everyone. Thank you. That's your full moon. Go get it done. You've got this. Make the best of it. Love you all. See you on the next horoscope.